Welcome to the deep dive. For so many of us, springtime is beautiful, but it comes with that real catch, hay fever.
Right, or seasonal allergic rhinitis, technically speaking.
Exactly. And if you're one of the, 15 to 40% of people who get the itchy eyes, the runny nose, all that sneezing when pollen counts go up, well, you know what we mean.
Oh, definitely. It's super common. And sure, you can grab an over-the-counter pill, and often it helps, but sometimes there are those downsides.
Yeah, like feeling drowsy or kind of fuzzy-headed, sometimes headaches, or even not feeling hungry.
Exactly. And that's what's so interesting about the natural approaches we're going to dig into. They often sidestep those side effects. Plus, they can actually boost your overall health, too.
That's the goal.
If you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. It really helps support the podcast and lets me keep bringing you more content like this.
So our mission today is to really dive into the info we've gathered and pull out the most effective natural strategies. We're talking home remedies, diet changes, specific supplements, lifestyle tweaks, all aimed at helping you manage hay fever better.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
How about we begin with some simple things you can do right at home?
Perfect. Let's start with something pretty well known. Nasal rinsing with salt water.
Ah, the saline rinse. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're basically just washing the pollen out, right?
Precisely. You're clearing that pollen from the lining of your nose, the mucous membranes. It directly tackles one of the main triggers.
So how do you do it effectively?
Well, the guidance is about 2.5 grams of Emser salt. That's a specific type dissolved in 100 milliliters of lukewarm water.
Okay.
And you use a special bottle, a nasal shower, usually over the sink. Tilt your head forward a bit and just let the solution flow through. It rinses out the irritants.
And I'm guessing consistency is important here, not just a one-time thing.
Oh, absolutely. During pollen season, the suggestion is twice a day, morning and evening.
Got it.
But don't overdo it. More than 3 times a day might actually dry out your nasal passages, which you want to avoid.
Good point. And you can get these salts easily.
Yeah, you can find pre-measured Emser salt, sometimes even sold with the nasal shower device. And there are eco-friendly options too, just pure rinse salt.
And it's just salt, nothing else weird in there.
Right. It's pharmaceutical grade, like 99.9% pure. So no heavy metals, microplastics, that kind of stuff. Just clean rinsing.
Okay, good to know. What else from the home remedy toolkit?
Another classic is steam inhalation, and you can boost it with essential oils.
Oh, steam feels so good when you're all congested.
It really does. That warm moisture cleanses and hydrates the nasal passages, and that helps calm down the itching and irritation. Adding a few drops of certain oils like eucalyptus, fennel, or peppermint can enhance the effect.
So.
Well, they have compounds that help loosen mucus. They're mildly anti-inflammatory and generally soothing. Eucalyptus, really feels like it opens things up.
Definitely know that feeling, but weren't there some cautions with certain oils?
Yes, good point. If you have other allergies, like to mugwort, you might react to fennel or peppermint. So always go for 100% pure organic essential oils if you use them.
And if you're not sure.
If you're unsure or have sensitivities, just using steam from plain isotonic saline that's 9 grams of salt per liter of water, like your body fluids, is a safe bet. Or use one of those personal steam inhalers.
Handy. Okay, what's next? Something a bit different I see homeopathy mentioned. Galthemia glauca D12.
Yeah, this comes up as a homeopathic option. It's shown some promise in studies for typical hay fever symptoms, itchy eyes, sneezing, runny nose, so it's suggested for self-treating acute issues.
Interesting for people who use homeopathy, but what about the research quality?
That's the caveat. The sources mentioned that the overall quality of the studies looking into it wasn't always top-notch. So, more high-quality research is really needed to be definitive.
Okay.
But if you want to try it, the suggested protocol is 5 globules daily. You start about 7 weeks before pollen season usually hits for you.
Right.
Then you take it for 3 weeks, pause for 1 week, and then do another 3 weeks of 5 globules daily. And these globules are available.
So it may be worth exploring, but perhaps not the only thing to rely on.
That seems sensible. And for a deeper, more tailored homeopathic approach, seeing an experienced homeopath for a proper assessment is recommended.
Makes sense. What's the last home remedy on our list?
Relaxation techniques.
Ah, yes, the stress connection. I totally believe stress makes everything worse, allergies included.
It really seems to. When you're stressed, your body releases hormones that can actually ramp up inflammation, which is central to allergies.
So chilling out can help my sinuses.
Indirectly, yes. Things like autogenic training, yoga, meditation, They help lower your overall stress levels, and that can, in turn, help dial down the hay fever symptoms a bit.
Okay, great tips for home. Now let's shift focus. How about what we eat? Dietary approaches.
Yes, this is a fascinating area. It's not just about avoiding trigger foods, but actually eating foods that can actively help.
I like the sound of that.
And the key, really, isn't eating something beneficial just once. It's about consistency. Getting these foods into your diet regularly, several times a week, ideally fresh, that's where the impact lies.
Okay, so what's first on the menu?
Let's start with broccoli.
Broccoli. Good old broccoli. Knew it was healthy, but for hay fever too.
It seems so. It's got a kind of two-for-one benefit. First, being a cruciferous veggie, it has these antioxidants called glucosinolates.
Okay.
Think of them as helping to calm inflammation in your airways, which, as we said, is a big part of allergic rhinitis. Second, it's loaded with vitamin C, which studies also suggest helps with hay fever symptoms.
A double whammy. How should we prep it for maximum benefit?
The trick seems to be chopping or grating it finely, especially the stalks, and letting it sit for maybe 10 minutes before you cook it.
Why is that?
That pause lets the active compounds actually form properly. Then you can lightly steam it or eat it raw. Maybe marinate raw broccoli with some lemon juice, olive oil, tamari for 10 minutes before mixing it into a salad.
Sounds good. What about broccoli sprouts? I hear they're potent.
They are. The info mentions that eating about 200 grams of broccoli sprout preparation showed good effects on airway inflammation, and you can grow them at home easily in a few days.
Tiny powerhouses. Okay, what's next after broccoli?
Citrus fruits, another great vitamin C source. Like one large orange gives you around 100 milligrams.
So oranges, lemons, limes.
Yep. Go for fresh fruits and freshly squeezed juices, ideally. They have the most nutrients compared to, say, canned fruits or store-bought juices, which might have added sugar.
Got it. More greens?
Absolutely. Green leafy vegetables, kale, spinach, chard, you name it. They're rich in carotenoids and other antioxidants that fight allergic symptoms.
Isn't that green smoothie ingredients?
Exactly. And preparing them with a little olive oil helps you absorb those fat-soluble carotenoids better. Or, like you said, blend them in smoothies with some healthy fat like almond butter or even algae oil.
Algae oil. Tell me more.
Yeah, algae oil is a great plant-based source of those long-chain omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s help counteract those over-the-top allergic reactions. You can get it in capsules, too.
Interesting. Okay, now for a surprising one. Stinging nettle. Isn't that the plant that stings?
It is, but here's the fascinating part. It can actually help reduce the inflammation behind hay fever symptoms.
How does that work?
Well, one theory is a bit paradoxical. Nettle contains some histamine itself, so consuming it might gently help your body get used to histamine, potentially making you less reactive during pollen season. Kind of like training your system.
Wow, that's counterintuitive. How do you eat it without getting scum?
You can harvest it fresh carefully and then juice it, or cook it like spinach. Cooking neutralizes the sting. Nettle tea is common too, or extract capsules. Leaf preparations seem preferred over root.
Leaf powder for smoothies, maybe?
Definitely. Organic leaf powder is available and easy to add in. Okay, next up, elderberries.
Elderberries. I know they're good for immunity, like during cold season.
Right, and those immune-boosting properties seem to help with allergies too. They're packed with antioxidants and phytonutrients, especially flavonoids, which might reduce inflammation and allergy symptoms.
How do you take elderberry?
Unsweetened, pure elderberry juice is recommended. About 30 to 50 milliliters, twice a day, maybe before meals. Dilute it a bit if it's too strong. Just remember, don't eat raw elderberries. They can upset your stomach.
Good tip. Okay, moving on. Onions, garlic, apples, kitchen staples.
Absolutely. And they're rich in something called quercetin.
Quercetin, okay.
It's a plant compound that acts a bit like an antihistamine, helping to block allergic reactions. Now, the amount you get just from food might not be enough for a huge effect on its own.
Right.
Which is why you also see quercetin supplements available.
Makes sense. What about herbs? Parsley?
Yep, parsley. More than just a garnish. It can help prevent the release of histamine, that main allergy chemical. Super versatile, chop it into soups, salads, or, again, great in green smoothies.
Love it. And thyme.
Thyme. Lovely herb. It's a really effective natural expectorant.
Meaning it helps with mucus.
Exactly. It helps reduce mucus production, especially helpful early on in allergy season. It's actually used in some pharmacy cough meds, which tells you something. Plus, it has antimicrobial properties, good if mucus buildup leads to infections.
How to use it?
Drinking tea made from fresh thyme maybe twice a day is suggested.
Nice. So many good foods. What if we combine them?
Funny you should ask. The sources actually give a recipe for an anti-allergy soup that uses a lot of these ingredients.
An anti-allergy super soup, tell me more.
It sounds great. You basically boil an onion, skin and all, with a garlic clove. Then add chopped broccoli, cook a few minutes, toss in stinging nettle leaves, celery, mixed greens, fresh thyme. Cook a bit longer.
Okay.
Then take out the onion skin, stir in fresh parsley, and season it. Sounds delicious and powerful.
Definitely trying that. Now, what about foods to maybe limit or avoid?
Good question. The info suggests that diets high in animal products, meat, poultry, seafood, might increase the risk of allergic rhinitis and other allergies.
Interesting.
So the overall takeaway on diet is really leaning into that healthy pattern, rich in fresh fruits, vegetables, herbs, that seems to reduce allergy risk overall.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. Diet covered. What about exercise? You mentioned it earlier.
Yes, exercise. It's so crucial for managing almost any chronic condition, and hay fever is no exception. The benefits go way beyond allergies, better fitness, mood, energy, everything.
So does cardio help, like running or walking?
It seems to. There was a 2018 study where people walked or ran on a treadmill 3 times a week for 30 minutes.
Okay.
They showed significant improvement in their hay fever symptoms, plus lower levels of oxidative stress and inflammation. They even reacted less to dust mites afterwards.
Wow. Did adding vitamin C help in that study?
Interestingly, no. In that specific study, adding 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily didn't seem to add any extra benefit beyond what the exercise alone provided.
So moderate exercise is key, not pushing too hard.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus from the sources. Moderate activity is good, but really intense exercise might actually make symptoms worse for some people, according to a 2020 study.
What would that be?
Well, if you're exercising outdoors, you're breathing in more air and potentially more pollen. So it could just be increased exposure. It's important to listen to your body. Maybe switch to indoor workouts if outdoor ones seem to trigger you.
Good advice. What about strength training? Lifting weights?
Yes. This was interesting. A 2025 study looked at hay fever patients doing strength training for 6 months.
And
They had significant improvements in their symptoms, better quality of life, and lower inflammation levels compared to a control group.
really? How much training?
It was 3 sessions a week, about 45 to 60 minutes each, working major muscle groups with increasing resistance. So both cardio and strength seem beneficial.
That's great to know. Okay, let's talk supplements and specific medicinal plants now.
Right, moving into more targeted natural aids. First up, black cumin seed oil.
Heard a lot about this one. Why is it good for hay fever?
It seems to work on multiple levels. It has antihistamine effects, it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and helps regulate the immune system. The main active compound is called thymoquinone.
And is there good evidence?
A 2024 meta-analysis, that's a studies found it was significantly effective overall. People using it had much better improvement in nasal symptoms compared to control groups, with minimal side effects, if any.
How much do you take?
The suggestion is usually around 1 to 2 teaspoons of the oil per day.
Seems pretty promising. What else is on the list?
Sulforaphane. Remember that
Oh.
compound from broccoli and sprouts?
Oh, yes.
Studies suggest it can help strengthen the barrier of your nasal lining and reduce inflammatory signals, the cytokines.
Okay. Then there's resveratrol from grapes.
That's the one. A 2018 study actually tested a resveratrol nasal spray.
A nasal spray. How did it compare?
After a month, using it 3 times a day, it relieves symptoms just as effectively as a standard budesonide steroid nasal spray.
Wow, that's impressive. Next is taurine, like in energy drinks?
Yeah, but it has other roles. People with hay fever often have lower levels of a key body antioxidant called SOD, superoxide dismutase.
Okay.
Early studies, mostly in cells and animals so far, suggest taurine might help boost SOD levels, and it also has anti-inflammatory effects. So if you happen to take taurine anyway, it might help your hay fever too. A common dose is 1,000 milligram capsules.
Interesting. What about NAC? N-acetylcysteine.
Right. NSE is known for helping respiratory issues. It breaks down mucus, an antioxidant, and it helps your body make glutathione, another major antioxidant.
So it could be good if you get really congested.
Exactly. If your hay fever involves a lot of mucus, stuffy nose, sinuses, or if you also have asthma, NAC might be particularly helpful. Typical dose is 300 to 600 milligrams twice a day.
Okay. And MSM, methyl.sulfonol.methane.
You got it. MSM, it's organic sulfur, also anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and it seems to reduce histamine release.
Is there human research on that for allergies?
There's a small study from 2002 where people took 2.6 grams a day. They reported significant reductions in sneezing, itching, and nasal congestion.
Worth knowing about. Then vitamin D, we hear so much about it.
The sunshine vitamin. Super important for the immune system. It helps regulate that Th2 immune response that goes haywire in allergies.
So low levels are bad for hay fever.
Studies show that yes, people with deficiency generally below 20 ng tend to have worse allergic reactions. Supplementing to get your levels up can ease symptoms and lower inflammation.
How much to take?
It varies, usually 1,000 to 4,000 IU daily, but really you should get your levels checked by a doctor to know your specific need. And keeping levels healthy is key for prevention too.
Good advice. Next, probiotics. The gut connection again.
Yes, the link between gut health and allergies is getting stronger and stronger in research.
How does that work?
Basically, an imbalanced gut microbiome or damaged gut lining seems linked to developing allergies. A healthy gut supports a balanced immune system, potentially preventing or managing allergies.
So taking probiotics can help hay fever.
A big review in 2022 suggested clear benefits for hay fever patients. Probiotics seem to modulate the immune system. It looks like a really promising area for future therapy.
Do we know which strains are best?
Research is ongoing to pinpoint the exact strains, doses, and duration, but several studies have shown good results with specific combinations, often involving bifidobacterium and lactobacillus species.
So nurturing your gut microbes is definitely something to consider.
Absolutely. Okay, nearly there. A medicinal plant, butterbur, or pessworts.
Butterbur. Heard of it, but what does it do?
It contains compounds called pectins, mainly in the leaves and roots. These can inhibit allergy reactions. It's usually used in small doses and not typically recommended for young kids or adults over 65.
Is it effective?
A large British analysis found it helped in most studies reviewed. And some Swiss and German research found it worked as well as the antihistamine cetirizine for symptoms like sneezing, itching, runny nose.
Really? As effective as a standard antihistamine?
Within about 5 days, yes.
Huh.
And importantly, without the drouthiness that often comes with antihistamines. But they used a specific standardized extract, ZE339, in those studies.
Good to know it needs to be a specific type. Lastly, acupuncture.
Yes, acupuncture.
Yeah.
It's gaining more recognition globally as an alternative treatment for hay fever.
What does the research say?
A 2024 review mentioned several clinical trials and systematic reviews suggesting it can significantly ease symptoms.
How might it work?
The theories involve modulating the immune system, balancing those Th1, Th2 cells, reducing allergy antibodies inhibiting inflammation, and regulating the autonomic nervous system.
Are there side effects?
They're usually rare and minor, but like any therapy, finding a qualified, experienced acupuncturist is important.
Wow. Okay. That was a very comprehensive look at natural approaches.
Right.
So let's try to wrap this up. What are the main takeaways?
Right. Let's summarize. For immediate relief, think about those home remedies: nasal rinsing, steam inhalation.
Check.
Diet-wise, focus on that healthy, plant-forward, alkaline-rich approach. Really load up on broccoli, especially sprouts, citrus fruits, leafy greens.
Onions, garlic, apples.
Yes. And use herbs like parsley and thyme freely. Maybe add stinging nettle powder to smoothies, drink some elderberry juice daily.
And make that anti-allergy soup.
Definitely. Don't forget regular exercise, maybe indoors during peak season. Get your vitamin D checked and optimize it, potentially with K2, magnesium, and A. Consider black cumin seed oil daily. Maybe start before pollen season. Ensure good omega-3 intake, perhaps from algae oil. And really support your gut health, maybe with probiotics.
And NAC if mucus is an issue.
Correct. NAC for mucus. And while things like sulforaphane, taurine, MSM are interesting options, remember that the foundation is the healthy lifestyle, more so than juggling lots of supplements.
So it's really about a holistic strategy, isn't it? Combining different natural tools to tackle hay fever from multiple angles, not just looking for one magic bullet.
Exactly that. It's about understanding the options and taking proactive steps for your own well-being using this knowledge.
This has been incredibly useful. It really prompts you to think differently, doesn't it? How adopting some of these natural strategies could really change how you approach not just allergies, but your health in general. So for you listening, what really stood out today? Which of these natural approaches feels like something you could try, maybe a starting point for managing your hay fever this season? Definitely food for thought. Thanks for diving deep with us.
If you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. It really helps support the podcast and lets me keep bringing you more content like this.